Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you again how to use Wealthsimple to file your tax returns. I'm going to try to make it as basic and as simple as I can. I'm using Wealthsimple because it's pretty much free. They do have upgraded options like at top right here. You can click to pay, but pay what you want. Yes, even zero. That's what I'm doing. I am choosing zero. I don't recommend these others unless you have a complicated tax returns, but I'm going to put up a little image of what you can do, of just some of the items you can do to prep. And let's just take a look. You can pause the screen if you want, and I'll talk through some of them. Ideally, you want to have all your slips ready to go. If you were employed, ask for a T4. If you were a subcontractor, you might be getting a T4A. If you are self-employed, you'll be filling out Form T2125, which I'll show you. Did you earn dividends? At the end of February, which has already passed, you'll be getting a T5. Did you sell stocks? Also at the end of February, you'll get something called a T5008. Did you earn dividends from a trust? So if you had a REIT, you would have to wait until March 31st. I think that's the deadline for the T3 slip. If you had a partnership, you'll need to get a T5013. And then there's also, these aren't as common. So if you got workers' compensation from the government, you'll get, or from your insurance, you'll get a T5007 that shows your income. And if you got employment insurance, or if you went on mat leave or pat leave, you get a T4E. That's just the income-based side. There's some of the other items which I'm looking for what am I trying to say? Deductions. If you had any RRSP contributions, you'll need a slip. If you withdrew from a home buyer's plan, you'll need to make sure that you select a certain amount to repay, or you'll get taxed, which is fine. If you had any professional dues for your designation, did you borrow money to invest? Do you have over 100,000 offshore? If you had rental income, do you have donations? Medical bills, I'll probably leave till the end. Just because the certain calculation that you need, this is not as common, but we'll go through some of it right now. If you have Wealthsimple, you should see at the top, at the top left, a tax button. But if you don't have a Wealthsimple trading account, you don't need to sign up to one. You can sign up for Wealthsimple purely for the tax, and you don't need to invest with them. So we'll click right here on tax, and I have a few scenarios that I was playing around with. So just this one is my test, mainly to play around with it, and I kind of like it. What I like is that as you fill out the information, it'll show you whether you're getting a refund or what you're owing, and the changes from everything you're doing. So if I zoom in a little, you will fill out your name, social insurance number, I picked a fake one, your address. For a deceased person, if it's yes, you'll be doing, this is a final return. So we'll do no here, choose your province. Now, as you can see, there's nothing really to fill out. There's some mandatory questions, but then there are no forms to fill out, and you're wondering, where do I put all my money and what's going on? We'll talk about that a little later, but if you want to jump right into it, you go to Manage Tax Forms. Let me go through some of the questions first in case you want to follow along. I highly recommend everyone get a CRA My account. You can sign on with your bank. I recommend just getting a CRA account. You can import your forms, everything that your employer or your brokerage has created for you. So whenever you sign up for Questrade or Wealthsimple, you have to give them your SIN number, and they'll send information to the government in form of T-slips for the amount of money you've made. Net access code, you don't need to do this. You'll be filing, if you file with Wealthsimple, it'll work. Mailing address, just put your mailing address here. Do you have a non-Canadian mailing address? Just put no. Residency, were you a resident for all of 2024? Hopefully you put yes. If not, okay, did you emigrate? You fill out this necessary information. Let's just put yes. Province, let's just choose Ontario. If your territory changed, you'd have to put both of them, because you'd be filing two separate tax returns, because each province wants their money. You and your family, let's just put single if you want, or if you're married, you could be filing together. Ideally, you file it together, it would be easier. So you could put yes, and then you could put someone else here. If you have their profile, it'll show up here. Did your marital status change? Maybe you could put yes. Date of change, married, single, common law. You could play around with this, but let's just put single for now. Let's just say no. Do you have any dependents? No. Yes. You could put children in shared custody. Other stuff we have to ask. I kind of like that they put it here. Are you filing an income tax return for the first time? If you are, what is this? Change to no. Are you sure this is your first time filing? Let's change to no. Are you a Canadian citizen? Yes. No, there's some other information you have to put on. Do you authorize the CRA to give your name for elections? Let's just say no, because they're annoying. Are you a person registered under the Indian Act? So they give you some information here. If you work on a reserve or lived or worked on a reserve. I don't really know what happens if you put yes, but. So, and this is what I mentioned previously. If you own over $100,000 offshore, you'll need to file a T1135. More forms will pop up here. You notice if I change that to no, it'll disappear. Change that to yes, you could jump right to it and kind of put in the information, but let's just go back here. Let's say nope. Did you dispose of your principal residence? Yes or no. You likely won't have to declare any capital gains on it, but if you have more than one, you have to choose your principal residence. When you choose your PR, it's at the time of sale, not while you're living in it. Did you flip a property? What happens if you say yes? Property flipping. Interesting. Most people will say no, I believe. Did you open a first home savings account? I hope you did. So let's just say yes. We have to ask because it affects some calculations. Were you confined to a prison for 90 days or more? I hope you say no. Carbon tax rebate. Do you live outside of a census metropolitan area? Let's say yes, so we get some money. Do you want to donate your organs or tissues? No, those are mine. Will you apply for the Trillium benefit? You can check mark. Wait, most people apply for these. Does it tell you what it is? So these links go to the CRA website. I kind of forgot what these are, but I think within a certain income level, you won't be eligible for this, but you could say yes anyway, and they'll accept or deny you. If you don't have a CRA My Account, which I mentioned, I do recommend signing up and getting one. You say, I'm already signed up. You could put in your information here, but highly recommend, because it'll tell you your TFSA room, your RRSP room, any deductions. If you're getting audited, you'd fill out the information through that as well. Now onto the forms. So if you have crypto, I wouldn't claim it, but that's for you to decide. So here is where you'll fill out everything. If you can kind of click on the drop-down menu and it'll ask you the questions. You don't have to memorize all the forms. So if you're saying, hey, I was employed, so you'll click here and then it'll ask you what type of employment and the type of forms related to it. If you were employed at a company as an employee, you get a T4. If you're a subcontractor, you're likely getting a T4A. And then if you were getting, workers' comp, it'll go down here. But let's just click, most people need a T4. You'll fill out the information as they give it to you. You get to choose, you have to choose the province that you've worked in. If we go here, employer's name, let's just go test. And then we put a random number here and then watch how the refund number changes. So this is my employment number. If we put 20,000, I owe 429. If I put 200,000, it go to 66,000. So let's just leave that there as a test. Fill out, if you import your forms from the CRA website, this should all be filled out, but you can do it manually if you want. Just make sure to get all the boxes. Here you could have any additional boxes if you want. These are taxable benefits, I guess, 2,500. So you should see some, oh, it didn't go up. I forgot what box 40 was. You can add another T4 if you worked at 2 places for part of the year. If you are CPP or EI exempt, you can choose these as well. Not sure many people would be. But so let's say we filled out our T4. We go back to our list. Can we strike this out? We're subcontractor. Let's say we were subcontractor as well. You could type T4A. You could fill out the information here. Test 2. And then you could put, 16? Let's put 20,000. Let's see the number change here. So these are the additional taxes that I owe. Next on the list, were you self-employed? Let's look for T2125. So you'd go 2125, and that's business, professional, and commission income. So here you could put your business name, your GST, HST number, but no, this isn't the GST or HST return. You'll have to fill that out separately. What type of income did you earn? Let's just say commission. Fiscal year, is this a partnership? No. Does the business have an address? No. What's your product or service? This isn't really, let's just say real estate. Accrual, cash, let's just, ideally you do cash. Industry code, let's just say sales. I don't know what that is. And then here you'll fill out all the information related to your business. Let's say your sales were 50,000. You'll notice the income go up here. But then if you had any rebates, let's say 5,000, this should go down. Went down a little bit. And I like that you see the change. The change is what I just entered. So if I remove this, you'll see that changes based on what I just entered. So 3029, if I put 7,500, this should go up to 3,500, I believe. Okay, 4,500. And then if you have any direct wage costs, any subcontractors, if you have advertising, let's put 1,500 here to watch this go down. Meals, only enter 50%, not 100% here. So meals, if you buy it for a client, because you ate, so that's what you would be doing anyway. So 50% is not tax deductible, but if you bought for a client, their half is. So let's say 1,500 here, and you'll watch this number. So the amount owing will go down a little bit. Bad debts, no. Insurance to be a realtor is around 700. Interest, nothing. Office expenses, I rent an office, let's say 1,500. To get my license is around 2,500 maintenance a year. Accounting, let's say I'm paying an accountant to help me out to do my books, or maybe even to create this return. Let's put 150 here. All of these are expenses, and these are all reducing the amount of this that I earned, the 50,000. Even if I earn zero, it'll still help. It'll still reduce, but you can only do that for so long. And now what I want to do is, where's the motor vehicles? So you notice how you can't enter anything into the motor vehicle, but you can jump to it. There's a separate section here. You can type in, I'll report totals only, or I need to calculate them. So here you could do, what is it? You guys all drive Rolls Royce. And this, you have to track the amount of kilometers you drove for the specific business, but it depends on, let's say if you put 100, total kilometers you drove to earn business income, 25% of my total kilometers driven will get added to here. So if I'm putting 100, this will only take 25% of it, and this will reduce by like 20 bucks, 15 bucks, so just very little. So the calculation is using the percentage that you used for the business, and make sure you tracked everything, maintenance and repairs. So if I put 5,000 here, it'll take 1,250 off, and then apply my tax rate. So let's say this will change by 700. Okay, 700. So it's good to know the tax rates and what it does, just to make sure the items you're putting in and the change is reasonable. So I'm able to guess just because I have experience. So let's stop with the business income. So we did that one. Did you earn dividends? You'll get a T5. So we could type that here. Investment income. Let's say you used Questrade and then you got 1,500. So you should see the number increase here. Oh, it didn't. And then this would say 1,750. There, that's the number. This times 138, whatever. I'm not gonna do the math in my head. And then next on the list is, did you sell any stocks? So here, you could either type in like Schedule 3 for capital gains and losses, or you could do T5008. And then here, it'll ask you the time you sold it, just because the rules changed a little bit, which they'll be gone for next year. But you could just say capital gains and the description. What you could also do, Schedule 3. And you can say what you did. Did you sell crypto? Did you sell a business, a resource, publicly traded shares? Most people, I believe, would be doing this. If you sold real estate, it would be here. Description, you could say sale of shares, not as important. Your proceeds. You made $5,000. It cost you $1,000. So you made a little bit of a gain. That's your capital gain. 50% is taxable and 50% is tax-free. That's next. Did you earn distributions from a trust? Note, if you're watching this in March, you might have to wait until the end of March till those get sent out. So we'll type T3. You'll enter in the information here. Let's go Wealth Simple. And then I think this is the basket. You put $5,000 because you made a lot of money. Did you have a partnership? Not many people would have a partnership, but you could put T5013 here to include any partnership income. I don't know. I don't even have I have a partnership, but it's losing money. So I think I put 5,000 in here. This is not the right one. And you put in your percentage. Interesting. I wonder which one it is. If I put in 50%, doesn't really work, but I'll figure that out later. Any workers' comp or EI, I won't go through all of these since they're not that relevant to everyone, but you kind of get the general idea of how to use it. Did you make any RRSP contributions, which I hope people did? So you can type in RRSP here. So note, did you see that other one that popped up? T4 RRSP. This is if you're retired and you withdrew money. This is income. You'd get a T4 RRSP, which is not that common. Click here, and then you can type in the distributions and everything you've made related to it. So your contribution limit, ideally you'd pull this from the CRA website. Did you make any contributions? Yes. Let's say from March to December, Wealth Simple, and you did 50,000. So that should reduce my taxable income. I'll say I should see 20 here. If I do 50,000 here, did that work? Why didn't that work? Oh, my deduction limit, 500. There we go. All right, so if my deduction limit was 0, I wouldn't be able to deduct it, but hopefully you get this information from the CRA website. So you see here, I get around 50% of it because that's my current tax bracket. If you withdrew money from the home buyer's plan and all these items, you'd have to include it here, allocate a certain amount just to play around with it. Home. There we go. Did you use, so that's these two, any professional dues? I think that's Schedule 4, or you could write dues here, annual union professional dues. To be a chartered accountant, a CA, it's around 1,100, and that should reduce my taxes by a little bit there. And you can also add more if you're like a professional engineer like my friend was. That's this. Did you borrow money to invest? You're able to write off the interest because that's an expense incurred to earn income. You would type in, I believe, Schedule 4, carrying charges. Is it Schedule 4? Other investment income. I believe it is. So if you have interest expense, line of credit to invest, and you spent 5,000 on interest alone, that's an item there. You can go into here and just to see what the CRA says, but it's a lot and it is kind of complicated. Do you have over 100,000 offshore? That would be an 1135. You have to, it's a lot of information here. You have to fill this out. Hopefully you don't have to fill this out. If you don't file these on time, it's a daily penalty and it is pretty punitive. Let's say that. Did you earn rental income? A lot of people have rental properties. You would do 776, or you just type in rental income. I think that's easier. Not many people would know the numbers, so let's just go rental. Whoops. Rental income. You'd put the address of the property. You'd put in all your information here. So for gross rents, I made number of units 1. Gross rents, what would it be? Let's say 36,000. Look at my income shoot up here. But if you own it 50% as well, that'll cut everything down. But let's just go like this. Advertising, insurance, this is from your mortgage. Let's say 25,000 in insurance. Property taxes, 5,000. Travel, 0. Utilities, 1,500. Notice everything is decreasing my income from the 36,000 that I put here. And it'll show you a net at the very bottom. So hopefully you calculate this on your own just to verify if everything you've entered is correct and these numbers are correct. So we did that. Any donations, the first 150, you get 29% back, and then the rest is 15% back. And then there's a max of 75% of your income. So we donate to a charity. Let's say, it doesn't matter what it is. If you put in $5, you get $1 back, which I think is 29%, but the calculation changes depending on how much you put. We could put 1,500 here. Also keep in mind there are red flags that get shot up if you donate too much compared to your income. Like if I donate like 50,000, it would be a red flag that'll get, you'll probably get audited by the CRA, but something more reasonable. I think people would donate like $500 a year. And then lastly, kind of the confusing one is medical bills. There's a certain calculation, which is the lesser of 3% or $3,000 that you get to input. So if we do medical, there's a certain number here. Let's say if we do surgery, type of expense, regular. If you make $20,000 a year, oh, you know what? I think they'll give you the information here. Yeah, so it's the lesser of 3% of your income or $2,700. So if you make $20,000 a year, your expenses for medical would need to be more than $600. So it's the lesser of. But if you make $200,000 a year, it's the lesser of $6,000 or $2,759. I don't know why it's such a random number. They should just round it up to $3,000. So if you make $200,000 a year, you would need to have medical expenses of more than $2,759. And it's only the difference, the variance between this number and what you spent. So if you spent $10,000, you would only be able to claim $7,241. And kind of that, I think that's what you would be putting here, $7,241. Now, so I just went through the majority of what people would be utilizing. Expenses, you could fill out the same information for your spouse as well. But at the very end, there's a review and optimize. So it kind of asks you additional questions that maybe you forgot. So if we go here, what is this? Fix it. No. Cool. Then review and optimize again. Are there any deductions to CCA or carrying charges to property? No. Is any of your income from tax shelters or limited partnerships? No. Any of your deductions from a resource property or flow-through shares? No. You must report at least one type of property. So let me just delete this because I don't need it. And you keep going back to review and optimize just to kind of answer additional questions. You didn't report any EI, so it would already do it. And this is, because I was playing around with the boxes here. This video is getting a little too long. At the very end, you can go into the summary, balance owing. This is a breakdown of everything you've been doing. I do recommend to save a PDF for yourself. This is what if you were to paper file, which I don't recommend, this is what the forms would look like. It does get kind of confusing. Keep a copy of this if you ever need to apply for a mortgage or apply for credit or debt. They do ask for your information. I believe this is called the jacket. You would get a notice of assessment after, but it gives you a breakdown of your income here. And yeah, I think that's it. After that, you can click submit. Let's see if I'm able to review errors. You need to fix the errors before you can submit. Fix it. What is this? Let's delete it. Can I submit now? Need to still review and optimize. Interesting. So there's a bunch, I think I'm getting a bunch of red flags. That's why the 6 is here. Let's just delete that and see here, there's an issue. We'll delete this. I think now all the numbers are gone. I think I can submit now. Okay, so this is something weird. I think Wealthsimple is having an issue. You reported capital gains or losses. At this time, you can't file with Wealthsimple. Something is wrong with Wealthsimple. I don't know why this is happening. If I delete this, I think I can file. Can I file? Go to submit. I'm ready to submit. There we go. Save PDF, print tax return, submit tax return. Let's see what happens. So just note, it's automatically charging me $25 here, but I'd put 0 and they're gonna ask, if you'd like to pay 0, you can't let me file with cap gains. Just let them know why it's not working. But I do kind of like that. If you want to pay a little bit more, you can get audit protection. I don't need it, but maybe you might. I do kind of like this number of returns. This is kind of cool. You could file more. You could see what their plans have. And remember, I think they bought Simply Tax in order to do this. But yeah, I think we're going to end it here. This is a long, drawn-out video. Hopefully it wasn't too complicated. I just wanted people to feel more comfortable filing their tax returns on their own. It is pretty straightforward if you only have employment income. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and tune into the next one.